we didn't play good enough to win the game. I mean, that's pretty easy to see. But, before I get into the issues, I'd like to highlight a couple of things we did do well. I thought defensively definitely gave us a chance to win the football game. Tackles for losses, sacks, poor field position, getting stops. Thought Jahdae Barron had a heck of a game, continued to battle, made plays, TFLs, big fumble recovery. Barron Sorrell, heck of a game. DeMarvion, Ryan Watts. I mean, a lot of guys played really good on the defensive side of the ball. Plenty good enough for us to win. Offensively, zero rhythm in the game. We could not get out of our own way, which is extremely frustrating. Clearly did not see this coming. Thought we practiced really well. Thought we were prepared. Thought we understood the plan. But for one reason or not, we kind of took turns just not executing. And the reality of it is that's on me because I have to make sure that I'm putting the players in position to where they feel confident enough to go make plays. And clearly tonight we didn't do it. We got behind the chains. We had a bunch of 3rd and longs, 1 for 13 on 3rd down is unacceptable. And then we had a couple opportunities in the second half to seize momentum. 1st and goals, and came away 2 times and came away with a total of 3 points, where that's arguably the difference in the game late in the ball game. So sometimes you're going to have ugly games, but you find a way. It was ugly, and we had a chance, and we didn't find a way. And in the end, didn't play good enough to win. And we lost to a good team, but this was more about us. And credit to them for hanging in there and not turning the ball over. But we didn't play good enough to win the football game, especially offensively.
Steve, starting with the red zone offense. During those 2 trips, Bijan didn't touch the ball once. I was kind of wondering the thoughts behind your play calling down there. Yeah,
the first one, we went to a little bit of tempo. Roshan was the back on the field. He got the 1 carry down there. We weren't very effective running the ball all night. We were actually trying to get Bijan on a wheel route the second time we were down there. Just didn't see him. But hey, you try to do what you're doing that might be working that got you down there, and clearly we were throwing the ball to get down there. The run game just wasn't clicking the way we would have liked to tonight.
Coach, obviously it's not always on the quarterback, but was there any moment that you thought about potentially pulling Quinn and putting in Hudson? If not, why not?
Yeah, no, I mean, to me, it wasn't all on Quinn. I think that everybody took turns tonight. We were just off. And then that probably wouldn't have been fair to Hudson to put him in at the end of the game to try to save the day with a couple minutes to go. So, I thought Quinn continued to compete. Couple of unfortunate errors to where, the ball kind of gets knocked out of his hand and different things happen. He slips. And so it was just one of those nights where we couldn't get into any sort of rhythm. And again, I'm sure Quinn will tell you he would have loved to play better, but I think everybody on offense could say the same thing. We all could have played better.
Keeping with Quinn, how important is it for you to, in I guess some words, support him, to let him fight back through these games, and then looking forward to keep the gig, or as opposed to having somebody look over his shoulder?
Well, I mean, I think that's part of it. To me, it wasn't about, like I said, it wasn't about him tonight. We got to catch the ball. We got to be where we're supposed to be. We got to block. We got to be able to run the football. We got to do a lot of things around the quarterback. That's got to improve, and his game has to improve. But I have to, in the end, that falls back on me and our offensive staff to making sure that we're putting all of our players, quarterback included, in the best position to have success. And for whatever reason tonight, we got to go back and look at everything again to say, what can we do differently moving forward to ensure we operate better? And we just didn't operate good tonight. And like I said, I'd love to say it was just one thing, but it really wasn't. We didn't run the ball well. We didn't throw the ball well. We didn't execute in the red zone well. We didn't convert 3rd downs well. We didn't do anything good. So, it's easy to point it at one guy, but that wasn't the case. We didn't play good offensive football.
Sark, just want to get your thoughts on 2 decisions at the end of the first half where you had the 4th and 1, and then you decided to punt, and then on the 4th and 3 in the second half when you made the decision to go after the punt.
Yeah, the 4th and 1, with the flow of the game, it was 3-0. we go for it right there. If we don't get it, I just didn't want to give them the ball with a short field with a chance to get points when we were playing good defense. When you're playing good defense and you're struggling a little bit offensively, you can, I hate to say play it conservative, but essentially you do. And let's get in halftime and let's regroup. And let's try to come out and play the second half. We were getting the ball to start the second half. I just didn't want to give them a short field to get points and give them more momentum going into the locker room. The 4th and 3, it was an aggressive call. We call it aggressive on special teams. If he blocks it, it's a great play. And just Demo just missed it. It was just off. Just missed his fingertip right there. It's unfortunate. But again, you can look back on it, and you can always second guess when things don't work. But I thought it was a good call. We had a free rusher at the punt, and he just misses it, and then we end up roughing him. And sometimes you have to live with it that way.
Deshaun Jameson wasn't out there tonight. Why wasn't he available or dressed out to play?
Yeah, he had an injury. He had got a concussion earlier this week in practice, and so he was out medically.
In the middle, Cedric.
Hey, Steve, you're a college quarterback, and you know the position as well as anyone. When you look in the eyes of your young quarterback at the half after those struggles, did you see the right fight, the right attitude coming out into the second half?
Yeah, I mean, I think Quinn's a highly competitive young man. I think he was seeing the defense well. It was just one of those weird things, where things didn't go his way. He goes to throw a quick screen to J.T. Sanders, and the ball hits Bijan, I think, in the hip or the elbow and knocks out of his hands. He stepping up to go throw a ball, he slips and falls down, and it just didn't happen. But it wasn't about, where his eyes weren't good or he wasn't comfortable in the pocket. Felt like all those things were on point. All the discussions we had felt very comfortable. So, yes, to answer your question, yes, I saw the right things.
Stay in the middle, Kirk.
You mentioned on the end of the half he didn't go for it. You didn't want to give him the short field. But don't you have to have faith in your offense as well as your defense, because it was playing so well, and that seems kind of go contrary to your aggressive mindset?
No, I get the point. But again, to me, in a 3-0 game, the way the flow of that first half was going, I did not want to give them any momentum going into the locker room at halftime to say, it's 6-0 or it's 10-0. And not that I don't have faith in our guys, but it's different when that much time left to go in the first half, different than if let's say there was 4 minutes to go, where maybe you can get another possession. That was just that scenario that came up. You got to make that call in that moment. I felt like that was the right thing to do. Let's get in the locker room at 3-0. Let's regroup and get the ball to start the second half and try to play better.
Got 3 more. Start with Terry.
Coach Sarkisian, you say that it's on the coaching staff and you to have put the players in a better position to be successful. What exactly does that look like? Is it better play calling, or is it the execution of the plays?
Well, I think it's everything, right? We got to look back at the game plan itself. We got to look back at the implementation of the game plan. We got to look at what we practiced against, what we called in game to give the guys confidence. I'm not saying that not every call was a bad call, but clearly we didn't execute the way we're capable of executing. And somewhere in there, we didn't have enough clarity and poise and composure, and then ultimately confidence to go execute the calls we were making. So as much as maybe I would have liked the call, we still have to go execute those calls in game. And so that's what I got to look at, of how do I make sure I put our players in position to have the confidence to go make those plays and to play the way they're capable of playing.
On your left, Sam.
Hey, Steve, on the touchdown they scored to Quentin Johnston, it looked like maybe a miscommunication between the corner safety. Is that what happened? And offensively for you guys, what disrupted the run, and did you feel like at any point forcing the issue?
Yeah, I think it was a miscommunication. I got to look exactly at the route combination over there, but clearly there was a corner safety. Both of them kind of turned them loose. I couldn't really see the exact route combination across the field. Might have been a little bit of a flood route, but I got to see the splits and if we were supposed to stay on or if the safety was going to stay over the top. But definitely a miscommunication. The run game, Yeah, it was tough. You know, we couldn't move the line of scrimmage. There weren't a lot of running lanes. You know, I got to look at some of the runners' reads, that maybe there were some creases there that we weren't able to hit. But in the end, that's why I talk about the game plan. You know, was the plan good enough for those guys to go execute that? So, but definitely just didn't generate really anything in the run game that felt comfortable for me as the play caller, or I think for the players on the field to execute.
Two last ones in the back, Corey.
Coach, going back to Demo, I know before the Eyes of Texas, I saw you console him a little bit. Was it something uplifting you were telling him?
Well, I was just proud of him. Our guys played there. Tonight was not about was not about effort. I mean, the guys tried hard, you know, and I can't fault them for, you know, not trying hard. They tried hard, especially defensively. Those guys played their hearts out. They gave us a chance. And anytime you see a guy who's a senior who plays the way that he played and gave it his all, you know, I want to make sure that he knows that, you know, that, hey, I recognize the way you played the game. I know it hurts. It hurts for all of us. But, you know, the guy's a warrior. You know, he plays his tail off. I mean, he didn't want to rough the punter. You know, I mean, he's laying out, trying to block it and misses it by maybe a millimeter, felt like. And, you know, so I don't ever want our guys to feel like they're the reason we lost the game. You know, it was we win together, we lose together. And Demo roughing that punter was not the reason we lost the game. He played his heart out tonight.
Last one up front.
Coach, you know, obviously the long passes has kind of struggled a little bit, kind of the shot plays and stuff. And so I'm kind of curious, when those are happening, is that Quinn looking for those shots? Or was that a design call? And if it was, what were you seeing that made you want to keep going to that, knowing that they haven't really been able to connect?
Well, I think at the end of the day, if you don't, inevitably at some point, you know, people run down the field deeper than others. You know, you layer route combinations, and then defenders kind of dictate the progression of the quarterback. And when they sit down on certain routes and the deep throws the throw, you got to throw them. You know, I mean, if they're part of the progression. And we felt like we had some opportunities one-on-one down the field. We didn't make those plays. You know, we kind of adjusted there in the second half on some different things to try to get more completion-type plays. I think that helped some. But in the end, at some point, if we don't hit a ball or two down the field, people are going to sit on us. So we've got to find a way to make that connection happen.